Jess moves back to her old farmhouse with her daughter Tyler and young son Owen after regaining custody of her kids. For the past few years, they've been living with their father, Patrick, whom Jess divorced after he left her for the young nanny who was helping with the children. Jess wasn't exactly the best mom. She often abused various drugs and was absent from home. But now she's changed and is doing everything she can to prove to everyone, and most importantly to herself, that she loves her children and is ready to start a new life. Tyler isn't thrilled about having to live on the farm, so she looks forward to every weekend when their dad picks them up to stay at his big house with his new family. The exes occasionally meet with lawyers to try to work out a custody compromise, but those meetings usually just end in arguments. Working as a nurse at the hospital, Jess one day has to deliver shocking news to a woman named Helen. She has cancer, and she has less than a year to live. The elderly woman begs Jess to help her end her life painlessly, saying she has no family and doesn't want to die alone. Jess refuses and tells her that in moments like this, every second should be cherished. One day after school, the brother and sister head to the local lake to go fishing. They discover it's completely dried up, with a dead tree in the center surrounded by mud where several animals have gotten stuck. The family dog and Owen's favorite Pippen seems scared near the spot. He bolts toward the tree but gets stuck in the bog halfway there. The kids help free the dog, and they all return home covered in mud. That evening at dinner, the family notices Pippin's odd behavior. He stares intently into the woods without blinking. As soon as the door opens, the dog bolts again and runs off. Owen is devastated and searches tirelessly for him, but after a few days, hope starts to fade. One night, Pippen suddenly returns home. Rushing outside, the family immediately senses something's wrong with their dog. The aggressive Pippen, with a wild glint in his eyes, attacks the boy and bites him several times before Jess kills the rabid animal. Owen is rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. As soon as Jess pulls herself together, Patrick shows up and starts blaming her for everything. The next morning, the boy wakes up, and it seems like the worst is over, but Owen refuses to eat, saying the food smells weird. Minutes later, he has a seizure that makes the doctors suspect rabies, but hours later, when the tests come back, the diagnosis is ruled out. That night, Jess accidentally catches Owen drinking blood. She yanks the bag away in panic and notices his vital signs miraculously stabilizing. Now the child refuses to eat and begs for blood, insisting he needs it. Jess initially refuses, but when he gets sick again, she looks at him and realizes he's telling the truth. The woman steals plasma from the hospital where she works and secretly feeds her son. When Owen is discharged home, he starts acting strangely. The boy demands warm blood, so Jess has to go to great lengths to please him. She tries to figure out what exactly infected Owen, but after consulting several specialists, she gets no clear answers. At the same time, she's terrified to show him to doctors, fearing they'll take him away. She hopes it will pass soon and he'll get better, but one day, Owen snaps and devours the entire blood supply. Jess heads back to the hospital, but there she learns the administration has noticed the missing blood, so now she has to check in with them before entering the storage room. So Jess goes to a pet store, buys a rabbit, and tries to satisfy her son's hunger with animal blood. Soon it becomes clear that only human blood alleviates his symptoms. When he gets sick again, the woman, without hesitation, starts feeding him her own blood, gradually becoming unrecognizable, which leads Patrick to suspect she's relapsed into drug use. After the house nearly burns down due to Jess's negligence, the woman realizes she won't last long. At work, she remembers Helen, who wanted to die quickly. When the old lady is discharged from the hospital, Jess offers to drive her home. On the way, she learns that Helen has suddenly rethought everything, and after receiving a bouquet of flowers from someone, wants to keep enjoying life despite having little time left. Feeling guilty, Jess pulls over, sedates Helen, then drives her home and ties her up in the basement. There, she explains that she plans to use her blood to treat Owen. She says Helen wouldn't understand anyway since she has no kids, and only a real mother could comprehend what she's willing to do for her son. Even though Owen now gets fresh blood, his condition still gradually worsens. His skin gets paler, his eyes start glowing in the dark, and he demands more and more blood. Then Tyler notices her mother's strange behavior and, to satisfy her curiosity, sneaks down to the basement where she discovers Helen. Before she can help the old woman, Jess returns and finds her. The mother convinces her daughter that she's doing it all for her brother, so if she wants him to live, she has to keep quiet about everything. When the kids go to their dad's again, Helen tells Jess that she's supposedly warmed up to her and is willing to donate blood. But as soon as Jess turns away, the old lady attacks her and tries to escape, but she doesn't get far. Then police show up at the door, searching for Helen. Surveillance cameras showed the old lady interacting with Jess before she disappeared. The woman manages to justify herself easily and misdirects the police, saying Helen supposedly didn't want to live anymore. Sometime later, just before the family returns home, Helen manages to escape with her last strength, but in the dark, she doesn't see the fence and slits her throat, dying. When Jess discovers the escape, she goes searching, but Owen finds the old lady first. He can apparently smell blood from miles away. At that moment, the mother starts realizing her son is becoming aggressive and uncontrollable, but she has no choice, so she keeps feeding him even though his thirst becomes insatiable. Tyler also starts fearing her brother. So one morning, she decides to head to the lake, where she hears a strange whisper coming from a hole in the tree. At that moment, Patrick arrives with child services to Jess, and after Tyler returns home, the kids are taken away from Jess. The mother manages to pass on the remaining blood, which runs out almost immediately. So Owen, in a trance, nearly attacks his father's young son, but Tyler stops him in time. Realizing his condition is worsening, they escape and head to the lake, where Tyler believes it all started. She plans to destroy the tree and whatever's inside it, hoping it will help her brother. As soon as Patrick notices the kids are missing, he storms over to Jess in a rage, thinking they're with her. The woman, at that moment, also remembers the tree and sneaks away from Patrick unnoticed. Meanwhile, Owen suddenly turns aggressive and attacks his sister. Tyler makes it to the lake, where Owen catches up to her, but at the last second, Jess appears and saves her. The mother tries to help her son, but Owen calms down for just a second and tells her to do what's right before fully succumbing to his illness. The boy transforms into a monster right before her eyes, and Jess has to drown him in the thick mud by the tree. Owen's death is staged as an accident, after which Jess loses custody of her daughter. During one of her visits, the daughter tells her she has no doubt that her mom did the right thing. Later, Jess burns the dead tree and seems to start a new life, keeping her terrible secret inside. Sometime later, she gets a new dog, and one day, while walking it, she notices the pup starting to act just like Pippen. The dog stares intently at something unseen deep in the woods, in the same direction where the tree once stood. And that's where the movie Blood ends. Honestly, it leaves a weird aftertaste. Kinda hooked me, kinda just passed by. On one hand, the atmosphere is really tense, especially those family moments with the dog where Jess fights for her kids like a true mom. Michelle Monaghan totally carries the role. Her emotions feel real, and the mix of horror with family drama makes you care. Plus, the vampire theme with the blood curse adds some freshness. It's not just blood and fangs, but something about guilt and sacrifice. But, to be honest, parts of it are way too predictable, like it's following a template from old vampire movies, and toward the end, it kinda loses steam, wished for more surprises or depth. Overall, mixed feelings. It keeps you on the edge of your seat somewhat, but not enough to go full fan. If you like family horrors with the supernatural, give it a watch, but don't expect anything groundbreaking. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Okay, but with a hint of it could have been better.